What's up guys, welcome back to Thoughts in Motion, and today is a very special episode because it introduces Sir George to the Thoughts in Motion team. Now, for anyone that doesn't know George or hasn't kept up with the blogs, George has been writing for us for a good few months now, and it's about time that he gets his face on camera. So, do you have a message for the people, George?
I do, I have a dramatic introduction for you guys. Dramatic introduction.
So, George's topic for today is on framing and conformity in society. So I'm going to give it straight to him. He's going to talk a lot more than I am in this video for once. And take it away, George.
Fantastic, thank you, Adam. So first I think we should define what exactly is framing. So framing, as I define it, is how people view the world, what their worldview is based on their own experience. Now, of course, people come from many different backgrounds in the world today, and they have very different evidence and views of the world. So their thoughts might not exactly be the same as ours. The important thing when it comes to conformity is how much does that frame match with ours? Because let's face it, people are going to judge us left, right and centre every single day for whatever we do.
The shame culture that we
Exactly.
live in.
It never matters what we do. Someone out there is going to judge you and have expectation of you. Expectation being the important word. Now that expectation is based on their frame. So, when we think about should we follow their expectation, should we even care? Does it matter what that guy thinks? Would you take notice of a little kid who tried to make you dress up like Barney the dinosaur? Perhaps not, but that's their frame. So what we're really getting at here is, does their frame make sense? And is it based on well-informed evidence, or is it based on absolute nonsense? So some people have very good ideas, which we should probably take note of and adapt into our own lives. For example, it's probably best to heed the words of people like Barack Obama and Martin Luther King, who had some genuinely good ideas. But then again, if you thought of people like, I don't know, Katie Hopkins, for example, maybe it's not the best idea to adapt her view of the world because...
don't name your child after a geological location, guys.
Yeah, perhaps not. That's probably very, very suspicious. But you get the idea, though, in that we have to work out what's best for us to become the strongest version of ourselves. What do you think about that, Adam?
I think when it comes to your individual frame, it comes down to, another word for frame is your demeanor. So your personal frame, your personal demeanor is how you see yourself and how you hold yourself, and sort of the views that you hold about the world and of yourself. So you can tell someone has sort of a weak frame or a weak demeanor if you can, when you sense something's just kind of off about someone when you say something, and you might agree when they don't actually agree.
They're not staying true to themselves,
They're not staying true to themselves. They're losing frame. And in any sort of social situation, we have maybe an alpha or a beta kind of situation going on.
Absolutely.
And you can always tell someone that's more beta than alpha. Again, these are very subjective terms, but you can always tell someone's alpha frame to a beta frame, because an alpha frame is someone who is going to, lead the group, do what they're going to do anyway, regardless of what's going on around.
They have the whole package, don't they?
Whereas a beta is kind of what do these people think of me? Am I okay? They're having an impact on them socially and outside of that frame.
And if they go a little bit in between, there can be the people who are trying to be alphas, but they aren't quite there yet. The little cracks show through, don't they? The whole model isn't quite there, and they're just not staying true to themselves. They're trying to be someone they're not, and that's what we would really have to advise against.
Yeah. If you're gonna try and be someone you're not, it's not going to work. It all comes back down to an authentic frame, but also it's almost a little bit like a paradox, because you want to be authentic to who you are, but you also want to then be more than what you are now. You want to be the better version of yourself. So it's I'd say it's very paradoxical advice as well.
You've always, I wouldn't say paradoxical, but you've got to try and improve in a way that's natural to you, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got to progress and adapt these different ideas and experiment with things. Say, okay, is this really me? If it's not, perhaps put that idea aside and think of a different way to get to where you want to be. At the end of the day, it's all about becoming the strongest version of ourselves, and doing so at a pace that's right for us, and not adapting ideas that someone else has told you must do X, Y, and Z to be the best man on the planet or be successful. Like a lot of gurus out there will tell you.
Yeah,
I don't buy that.
It's what's true to you. So, for example, obviously me, George, Carl, and everyone else involved in Thoughts in Motion is very into sort of self-help. We have our own gurus, our own teachers. But does that mean every piece of advice that they give is necessarily good for us as people? So if you go around following every piece of advice that every guru gives you, A, you're not going to know who the fuck you are, and B, you're going to be a little bit of a mess. You're going to be all over the place. You're not going to go, oh, should I be working harder on this? Should I be more social?
Exactly.
And you'll just create this really weak frame of mind, and your demeanor will everyone will just see through the fakeness straight away.
Yeah, people have a sixth sense for that kind of thing, don't they? They can just tell someone who's not authentic. As you said earlier, there's something that's just not quite right about them, and you can tell it an absolute mile off. Like we mentioned, like alpha and betas earlier, like and with reference to males and females as well. Like for me, one of the biggest changes in my frame in recent years has been like sexuality, that sort of idea. Because I mean, I was brought up very conservatively in that regard. We didn't really talk about that in my family. Like, it wasn't really a topic that was breached.
Sex.
Exactly. We're very British about this, you know, that sort of thing. But I think that once I got out and actually explored it, it's become so much more exciting avenue for me. And I would never ever go back to the way I was before. But again, before I thought that frame was the only way. Like, I didn't have any other information otherwise. But now I went out and actually explored some stuff, my frame change is different, and I've become a better person for it.
Yeah. So like, when you say like a more sexual frame, and where would you sort of, how do you describe a sexual frame? Like, what's like an alpha sexual frame to have? Because I think you can embrace the sexuality of it. You can embrace your own sexuality rather, and not be ashamed of the things that you're into, or whatever you feel. Or you can sort of suppress it. Like, we kind of, society has this way of trying to get us to almost suppress some sexual things. Like, it's not socially acceptable to say something.
And it actually sucks, doesn't it?
It does. I'm like, I would whip it out right here and now.
I'm sure you would, Adam. I'm sure you would. We might have to edit that out.
Just a blur of it.
Yeah, don't look at that, people. But no, I think you made a very important point about feeling ashamed of something. And if you're into some sort of stuff, like, it might not be the most conventional sort of thing, but if that's genuinely you, then by all means go for it, and don't be ashamed of it, because that is the way. Because I believe that sexual experiences should be something very special for people, and they should be unique to that person or those two people in that particular moment, and that's how you get the most powerful experience. So for me, if you were suppressing something that you really wanted to do, that your heart absolutely craved, wouldn't you feel a bit unfulfilled?
Yeah, you would. And you can see someone's alpha frame, or like I keep referring to alpha frame because it's sort of like, we imagine people who are alpha females, alpha males. Although in today's society the word alpha is kind of, it's not looked at in a good light. It's like, oh, alpha male trying to be alpha.
It's a bit like the Chad of the group, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not like an alpha. Like, for me, an alpha dude or an alpha female is someone who isn't ashamed of who they are. They know who they are, and they don't let anyone else tell them who they are. Whereas a beta is kind of like influenced a lot by other people. They care too much about what people think, and
very self-conscious, aren't they?
Yeah, very self-conscious and insecure. And you can see that in a way that people portray themselves. So I know, for example, I have a friend who's very, he likes to talk a lot. He tries to take over every conversation, no matter where he is. And obviously being loud and confident is an alpha trait. But if you push it too far,
that shows even more insecurity, doesn't it?
More insecurity. So if he's being loud in every situation, and be like, oh, and absolutely nothing, and trying to be the loudest one in the room, you're like, dude, like, that's not an alpha for him to have. You're trying too hard to impress. You're caring what we think. By trying not to care what we think, you're actually caring too much about what we think.
I mean, going slightly back to conformity here, in that a person like that would not be conforming to a norm. They're very, very loud, very, very almost aggressive in a way. And because humans are naturally part of groups, we like group harmony, that sort of idea. He's disrupting that group harmony to such a level that it's actually putting people off. And I don't even think he's staying true to himself in that situation.
Selfish frame.
So you've got both a selfish frame and you're putting other people off. So you could just say fuck society, fuck conformity. But when you get to that sort of level, that's when you start running into issues and you're not going to make many friends.
Nope.
And we all need friends, don't we, Adam?
We're good friends.
We're good friends, yes. Okay, so like wrapping up what we've just been talking about, I think it's really important that we identify what it is about ourselves that is different, what is about us that's unique, and to be unashamed of that, because people want difference in the world. It'd be really, really boring if like every single man like me and Adam went out there, drank exactly the same beer, supported the same football team, kind of like Berlin Wall sort of thing, East and West Germany.
Yeah, exactly.
It would just be a depressing world, and people would be longing out, they're crying out for someone who's just that little bit different, who broke the mould, kind of like a Freddie Mercury of the day, kind of like a David Bowie, and we know how popular they are. People love them, and it's because they had the balls to do something different and be unashamed of what they were. So this is a challenge I want to give to you guys here, is find out exactly what is different about you, What is it that you bring to the table that's absolutely unique? Be unashamed of it, make it who you are, go out there and inspire the world.
Own it, baby.
George and Adam out.
Okay, thank you for joining us on this beautiful hilltop. It's now starting to get a little bit cloudy, so we're going to head off now. But if you want to check out anything George has written, you can go to www.thoughtsinmotion.co.uk, and under the guest blog section you will find everything George has ever written. Keep up to date with us, and we will see you in the next video. Peace out.
Take care, guys.